Hi, welcome to Mic Take 3. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new M4 iPad Pro. So this is the iPad Pro, and we're going to be unboxing this and doing a little review on it as well. I do also have the brand new iPad keyboard case, which I'll be unboxing as well. So let's get to the unboxing. So let's just firstly peel off the tabs here. Okay, so here's the iPad, and oh my god, that is ridiculously thin. Wow. Okay, I'm a bit overwhelmed right now, so I'm going to be trying to contain some of it, but I'm just going to put this to the side for now. See what else is in the box. So we do have a USB-C to USB-C braided cable. We don't get a charging brick because EU regulations. It's just an EU. I think US will probably get a charging brick in other places in the world. But yeah, we don't get that in the EU, just the cable. So let's put that to the side. And as part of Apple's kind of trying to be more eco-friendly, there are no Apple stickers anymore. So we don't get any of that. However, if you do get the nano texture iPad, which I'll talk about later on in the video, you do get a special cloth, cleaning cloth for it. You don't get that if you get the standard glossy one, which is what I got. Cool, so let's get to the actual iPad here. Very nice. Cool. Getting my fingerprints on it already. Yep. Cool. That is really, really thin. Wow. And then, yeah. So let's look around the iPad. So on the back here, you have got one 12 megapixel camera. On the previous iPad, actually, let me get that in here. So this is the previous M1 iPad. This will also be the same on the M2. The M1 and M2 iPads are basically very, very similar, other than the chip inside. So you'll see that this has a wide and ultra wide camera. This just has one 12 megapixel wide. So they removed the ultra wide camera for the new M4 iPad. And on the back of the Apple logo, they've also added some copper to help with heat sinking, to reduce the amount of heat that's generated with the iPad, because obviously there's no fans. And then at the bottom here, you've got the three connectors, same as the three connectors on the M1 iPad and M2 iPad. That is to connect to the Magic Keyboard, which we will go through later on. You've also got the top here for the Apple Pencil. Now the Apple Pencil, let me see if I got that here. Yeah, the Apple Pencil, it kind of connects, but it's not very good at connecting. Basically, this Apple Pencil will not work with the new iPads, the M4 iPads, because, well, Apple's redesigned the charging mechanism, because there's a camera up here. So on the front of the iPad here, on the landscape, it's got a 12 megapixel camera. On the previous iPad, both the M1 and M2, it was at the top here. If you can see that under all the fingerprints. Yeah, so they put it on the landscape here. So now when you look at the camera, when you're on like FaceTime or Zoom or something, it doesn't look like you're looking off center. You're now it looks like you're looking actually at the camera, which is very nice. And they've also got, like, this iPad is 5.1 millimeters. So this is the 13 inch. If you get the 11 inch, it's 5.3 millimeters. This is barely thicker than the USB-C port, if you can see that there. And this is 5.1 millimeters. This is the thinnest Apple product Apple has ever designed, even thinner than the iPad Nano. They talked about this more than they talked about anything else really. They've been promoting that quite heavily. Yeah, and this also has an OLED screen, so let's turn this on for the first time. Cool, that's turning on. And I'm just going to put this to the side because whilst that's turning on, booting up and everything, we're going to be unboxing the new Magic Keyboard. So this Magic Keyboard has a metal top, aluminium or aluminum if you're from the US, and has a larger trackpad. But yeah, let's talk about it less and let's actually get looking at it. Cool. So we're just going to take this out of the wrapper. So first impressions, immediately just picking that up out the box, much thinner. Like it feels thinner, it feels lighter. There are some changes here which we're going to look at. So let's get that wrapped. Now, the outside texture of this is the same. I don't know if it is any different if they've changed anything, but the outside texture of this is very similar to the previous Magic Keyboard cases that they had. Let me throw that here. And the main difference with the keyboard case here is that you've got this aluminium or aluminum base, which feels very, very similar to a MacBook. You've also got this larger trackpad here, your function roll, so you've got like escape, lock, got media controls for play, pause and volume, so on. Let's bring in the other keyboard case. So you can see here the trackpad is significantly larger. Also, the previous version had, and you can hear that, a click button. This uses haptic, so when it's turned on, it just it's like a virtual click, basically very similar to what they have on the Mac. And you can obviously see they've like moved the keyboard up here, obviously, because there's more of a palm rest area. So you've got this nice big keyboard, and then there's the function row, which you didn't get on the previous version. They still sell this version, and this version is going to be available for the M2 iPad Air. But let me do the box here. On the box, it says Apple iPad Magic Keyboard. It doesn't say iPad Pro. When you go in store, if you are going to be getting like either the M2 iPad Air or the brand new M4 iPad Pro, I would double check to make sure that you're getting the right keyboard case, the Magic Keyboard case, for the correct iPad, because it is very easy. All it says on the box is iPad Magic Keyboard, so just be sure that you have got the correct iPad keyboard case for the correct iPad that you've got. Some other things that you'll notice here as well is that there's a more of an oval shape compared to this round shape that they had before, and the output on the new case is higher. So I believe it is a 40 watt output on here, which is much higher than it was before. Also, putting the iPads into their keyboard cases, let's have a look at the thickness of this, because I've not seen this. This is my very, very first impression of this. Yeah, so the new iPad is lighter. I don't feel like it's hugely lighter. It's a bit lighter, but it's definitely thinner. It definitely has that MacBook kind of look to it, like a refined look. Yeah, it has a different feel to it, but it doesn't feel like it's a huge difference in weight. Let's actually test this against the MacBook Air. Sorry, off camera I have a huge amount of mess that isn't, I'm not showing anyone. So if we kind of put this MacBook Air side by side, you can see that they're very, very similar in thickness. Let's put this iPad as well here. This is a little bit thicker. And then let's do like a weight test as well. This isn't very scientific. This is just my kind of impressions of it. So the iPad Air and the iPad Pro M4 feel very, very similar in weight. Yeah, this iPad does actually feel quite heavy in comparison to this MacBook Air. Let's put that to the side and let's have a look at the iPad. So this is what you get when it turns on. It's very kind of laptop-esque experience. Yeah, I'm just in awe over how thin this iPad is. It looks incredibly thin. I haven't got the Apple Pencil Pro to unbox, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this iPad set up, and then we'll take a little look into this.
A few moments later.
So the M4 iPad has now been set up, and yeah, so basically talking about my experience from the setup. Firstly, using the actual keyboard, now that I've actually used it, and the trackpad has that haptic feedback, so when you press it, it gives you that kind of tactile, as if it's a click response, you know, similar to the iPad on here. And then basically the keyboard experience is very similar to the keyboard on the previous M1 iPad. I'd say it's slightly better. It's been slightly improved. I don't know what it is. It just feels so good to type on this keyboard, better than the actual Mac keyboard, in fact. So yeah, so let's have a look at the kind of the screen quality as well. So here are the iPads. The one on the left hand side is the M4 iPad Pro, and the one on the right hand side is the M1 iPad Pro. The M1 uses a micro LED display, and the M4 uses OLED. Apple calls it tandem OLED because typically OLED doesn't have very good brightness. So what they've done is they've stacked two OLEDs together on top of each other, and that basically allows for a brighter screen. This has a 1600 nit peak brightness, and as you can see, the OLED on the M4 iPad just looks absolutely amazing. Now, the funny thing is that I have never looked at the micro LED on the M1 iPad and thought this was a bad display by any means. This is a phenomenal looking display, but looking at them side by side, it just makes the M1 iPad, it just doesn't look as good. Like the blacks are much more darker and the colors are just so much richer. And it's supposed to be a more accurate display. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to make sure that True Tone is turned off on both displays, just to make sure that we haven't got any misrepresentation in terms of the screen quality, in terms of the color. True Tone basically turns the screen more orange or blue depending on the environment. But yeah, I mean, they both look absolutely phenomenal, but the OLED just looks just that bit better. One of the other things I noticed was when setting up Face ID, the camera that is now in the middle here, it just looks like you're looking at the camera or in the middle of the screen, which is a much nicer experience. Yeah, I really like the fact that they've done that. I know they've had to do some re-engineering in favor of the Apple Pencil Pro in order to get the mechanism to charge in the top there whilst the camera is there. But yeah, it's just a much nicer experience. I feel like this is overall just a much better iPad and refined compared to the previous generation. I'm glad that they took that year off to make these changes. The only thing and the only difference with this is that the only thing that I feel is holding this back is the fact that it's got iPad OS. Now this iPad has an M4 chip. The M4 chip is, it's the first device that Apple has to have the M4. They've recently released the M3, which was on the MacBook Air, and the MacBook Pro, the previous MacBook Pro had an M2. The one I've got got here is the M1 as well. So yeah, it's just that this doesn't really utilize necessarily the full power like the Mac does. However, if you are going to be doing a lot of, let's say, creative work on here, so you're going to use Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, Procreate, then yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal device for that. You know, that combination of the keyboard and having the Apple Pencil, it's got that dynamic use case whereby you can use it as a laptop if you want to, but then you can also use it as that creative tool if you need to as well. And it's got enough power to do that. Now, a lot of people are saying that iPadOS is holding this back. I kind of beg to differ. I think that if you are going to be using this just as a consumption device, then yeah, you're not going to be using the power. However, if you are going to be using it in a very creative way, then you are going to be using some of the power of the M4. And a lot of the apps that utilize that tend to kind of utilize a lot of the kind of things for the neural engine and the CPU and all of that combined, you know, and also AAA gaming is something that's becoming bigger as well. Assassin's Creed Mirage, yes, Assassin's Creed Mirage is going to be released very soon. I think it's on the 6th of June. And that's obviously going to be using a lot of power as well. So I think this all depends on your use case. Now, this iPad, you know, is coming towards MacBook territory. So when you've got something like a MacBook Air with M3 and you've got this device here, it's kind of down to your use case. What are you going to be needing it for? If you need to have an Apple Pencil and you need that touchscreen experience, this is going to be the way to go. However, if you're going to be using a MacBook for kind of more, you know, general computer, daily computer needs, then that's probably going to be the best way. If you don't really care about having the Apple Pencil, you don't really care about having that touchscreen experience, there's no need to get this. If you just want to use an iPad as an iPad, then I recommend going for the regular iPad, which has been the price has been cut down by £100, $100, and you'll have it as an iPad. Alternative to iPad Mini as well. An iPad Mini is a phenomenal, you know, iPad in itself. However, I feel like the iPad Pro is trying to be something else, and I think it's working its way towards that. And I guess we'll see during WWDC, which is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, where they release iOS 18, iPad OS 18, and we'll see what they have in store. AI is going to be a massive thing with that one, and hopefully there'll be a big redesign with iPad OS as well. The other thing with the iPad as well is I have the glossy display here. I've got the model that I have is Wi-Fi only, 256 gigabytes, and it's the 13-inch model. So this comes in 11-inch and 13-inch. This model is the glossy display. Now, if you want to get the nano texture display, which is basically the one that doesn't have as much reflection off the screen, if you're acquiring this device to not have huge reflection, if you like working by a window, or you do certain, like, let's say drawing work, and you don't want to have that you know, distraction of like lights coming down, you know, let's say you use it flat on the surface and there's lights above you, then the nano texture is definitely the way to go. That will cost £100 or $100 more. Now, you can only get that on the 1 or 2 terabytes. So if you're getting the 256 or the 512 gigabyte version, that only comes with a glossy display. If you're getting 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes, you can have the option of having the glossy display or the nano texture display. Another thing to note as well is the nano texture, it does kind of dim the screen a little bit, so you are kind of losing that clarity compared to the glossy display. But that's just kind of a sacrifice that I guess you need to make depending on your use case. So this is kind of my unboxing and my early impressions of the iPad Pro. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you going to get one? Are you going to upgrade? Are you going to wait to another version? Or do you think that the M1 and M2 is for you? I will be doing another kind of follow-up review once I've actually used this properly, and you know, just kind of after iPad OS 18 has come out, really kind of see what Apple's done with this in terms of software, and look at it as a whole package. but I'll be reviewing that probably in the next couple of months. Even though the iPad OS will be in beta, we'll just review it as a kind of a soft kind of review, just to kind of see what they've done. Once they've got the final release out, we'll have a proper look at that. But yeah, this is my review. Thanks for watching, and peace.